All right, boys, let's talk about Wemby, who has been on a tear lately, as he has been playing center now for about a month and a half. The Spurs recently started Trey Jones. He started the last 7 games. Of course, they stopped the Sohan at point guard experiment over a month ago now. And even while this team is 7-33 and they've lost 3 in a row and they're 2-8 in their last 10 games, you can be very excited about what Wemby's been doing. In the last 10 games, Wemby's averaging about 23 a game on 53 shooting, and this is still with him being in like the mid to high 20s in minutes per game. And before we say a bunch of nice things about the offense, I would actually like to start with the defense. In the last 15 games, whenever Wemby is on the court, the Spurs have the equivalent of about a top 5 defense, which is pretty insane, right? Specifically a 112 defensive rating with him in the game, and then when he's not in the game, they've got a 118, which is equivalent to like the 26th best defense. Again, last 15 games. And he's pretty much in drop. He's guarding the center, as you would expect, and of course, there's the blocks. Of course, there's the recent one against Atlanta where he tips a number of lobs from Trey that were meant to go to like Capella or Kongwu or whatever. In the Pistons game, you've got plays where Wemby's like waiting for Marcus Sasser in the paint, but he's reaching at him anyway with his huge wingspan, and then Sasser's got to like pass it out to Ivy for a 3 or something. A lot of bigs will do like a little swipe at the ball handler when they're in drop on pick and rolls, right? Wemby, because his wingspan is insane, I feel like it actually does have a little more effectiveness to it where he can do that and still be just a force around the paint, with the largest example being probably the Hornets game recently, where, man, I tell you, between like Terry Rozier floaters or LaMelo sort of dribbling around the paint but not shooting a layup right at Wemby, or Brandon Miller with pull-up twos, like there was so many possessions where it's like, man, the Hornets just want no part of this guy around the basket. I think LaMelo really only tried him like twice in the game. Funny enough, he was actually able to get a couple foul calls out of it, one on Wemby, one on, I think, Trey Jones. Now, teams have thrown some things at him. I mean, in the Celtics game, like Tatum got him one time on a hesitation dribble on a pick and roll where Wemby was a little higher up. He was able to freeze him on that one. Jalen went right at him and actually finished over him, which is not happening very often for guys right now. In the Cavs game, the Cavs ran some like double screen actions to sort of not allow him to just be and drop comfortably, you know. It did feel like he was higher up on a lot of screens in the Cavs game just anyway, and I thought he did a good job. Although there was one time when he was very high up, and then Tristan Thompson got a wide open dunk because there was no rotation on the back end. He also did fall down once when guarding Kata in the Celtics game. Kata just put a shoulder into him. But yeah, look, to quote the NBA.com rim protection numbers, which I think is the best sort of defensive shot chart thing that we have. It's still not going to be perfect, but I think it's the best we got. When Wemby is the closest defender at the rim, opponents are shooting 45% in the last 15 games, which is an insane number, and that also does not account for the amount of like pull-ups and like free throw line jumpers that guys are going to take and stuff. Now, if you were to look at San Antonio as a whole, you know, the shots that they are giving up in the last 15 games, even with this happening with Wemby, they're still giving up a lot of shots at the rim and stuff. I would guess some of that is like transition. Obviously, some of that is when Wemby is not in the game. To give you a small example, in their recent one against the Pistons, so Jaden Ivey made like 5 shots in the paint in that game. However, all of them were either transition or it was like Wemby on somebody else or Wemby not in the game. But when Wemby was just positioned in front of the rim in the half court, Ivy was either taking pull-ups or floaters, and he also took a couple of threes with Wemby switched onto him, and he missed those ones as well. I would guess long-term that with Wemby just playing center and all that, we will eventually see the Spurs defensive shot chart resemble what it was with like the Budenholzer or Bucks for a long time, you know? Not a lot of stuff at the rim, teams shooting more mid-range than they would really like, and stuff like that. Of course, getting more defensive players around him can help this too, and I mean, yeah, it's been a talking point this year. What will this team look like around him in 3-4 years? I don't know. I like Devin Vassell and Trey Jones a lot. While I understand the Sohan at point guard thing was weird, we'll just put it like that, but he has been quietly good from 3 on low volume. His free throws are at 78. He's got some catch and drive juice. Of course, we've all been talking about his defense the second he showed up. Like, I get it. You do not want to hand too much of the offense to Sohan. We've already seen the evidence of that, but he's got some stuff. Anyway, let's talk about the offense. So, Trey Jones has been starting in the last 7 games. Outside of his 30-point game recently, the box score numbers are not going to jump out at you, but he's just going to be super solid, making the right play, all the point guard cliche things. Of course, with Wemby at center, the spacing is better, and so his shots at the rim have been trending upwards. And on top of that, with Wemby at center, the Spurs have found more ways to have Wemby operating at the top of the key for DHOs or multiple screen actions, whether it's on the ball or like, I remember a play, I can't remember what game it was recently, but he screens for, I think, Keldon Johnson on the wing, and then he goes and screens for McDermott after running over to the top of the key, and then he rolls off of that, and he gets decent post position, and then Vassell throws it to him because it was a swing to Vassell after the McDermott screen, and he misses the shot, but just a lot of things happening. I'm like, well, that's a good sign. Of course, any sort of a DHO action at the top of the key or just screen action where the paint is just open to allow Vassell or Trey Jones or Keldon or whoever to get downhill is good. They've been going to some inverted pick and rolls as well, where Wemby is the ball handler. And I mean, we've seen Trey Jones screen for him a little bit. We've seen some Sohan, a little bit of Vassell here and there. It's not something they go to all the time, but whenever they do, I'm like, oh, this is cool. There's a play in the Pistons game where Sohan screens for Wemby, and then Wemby gets downhill enough, and then you got Trey Jones cutting from the corner, and then he gets a shot there. In that same game, you've got Sohan cutting when Wemby's in the post. There was another one in a game recently where Wemby, he was at the top of the key. He throws it to Sohan in the post, and then I believe he sets an off-ball screen for Vassell for him to be moving, and then I think it was the Hornets game. They doubled Sohan in the post, which you probably don't need to do, and then Wemby was able to cut off of that. Just there's things happening in the offense. It's good. The team still is not good. Let's not get carried away, but there's good progress happening here. As far as when Wemby's putting the ball on the floor, I mean, he pulls off some wild things, man. Like late in the Cavs game where it's a screen for Vassell, and they put 2 to the ball on Vassell, so Max Strus rotates over to Wemby at the top of the key. Wemby gets by him, which off rip, like center beating wing off the dribble. Like, sure, Wemby's not the only guy in the league who can do that, but it's also not a huge list of guys, right? And then from there, he gathers steps, finishes over Jared Allen at the rim. And now, sure, you are still going to get the plays where it does look a little awkward, like in the Celtics game where he takes Horford one-on-one, and it ends up being this like wild layup. But it feels like there's less of those plays happening. Of course, we've also gotten some Trey Jones lobs to Wemby, or Wemby slipping a screen for Vassell, and he's getting downhill. And as far as the shooting, it does feel like the jumper shot selection is still getting better. I mean, there's definitely still some threes where it's like, yeah, you probably didn't need to take that one.